Dude, your dog isn't deaf. You're just really boring. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. A lot of times I get messages in my DMs like, hey Michelle, my dog is still having this issue. They are still biting a lot, they're still nibbling a lot. I'm still having issues with their heel. I'm still having issues with their loose leash walking. What should I do? Should I start to look into getting an e-collar, a prong collar? And there is one common fundamental thing in all of these messages that I see all the time, which is basically that your dog does not listen to you, that your dog is practically deaf. And I'm here to tell you that no, actually you lack engagement with your dog because you're extremely boring. Yeah, there, I said it. And you know what? No judgment, because I also had this issue with Dante. There was a time that I could have sworn that Dante had selective hearing, that he just never listened to me, so I totally understand where you're coming from. And in this video, I'm going to tell you 3 things that I did to change this and to improve my relationship with my dog. So if you're interested in seeing that, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that we can make more content like this and to help our channel grow. I can't tell you guys how helpful it is every time that you guys share a video of ours on Instagram or on any Facebook pages and help put out this information that I really think is important for a lot of dog owners and that I wish I had when I was raising my pups. So yes, Peach is wearing Spider-Man diapers. She's on her period. I DIY'd them. We can make a whole video about that later. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel. So the first thing that I improved with Dante and Peach to some extent is my timing. My timing when it came to rewards and to corrections. I can't tell you guys how many times dog owners make the mistake of either correcting their dog way after the incident happened or forgetting to reward their dog when their dog does something amazing. And maybe not even amazing, maybe just, you know, just like a solid recall. A lot of dog owners just forget, you know. It's almost like I feel that sometimes you expect your dog to know that stuff and to do it, so you don't think it's necessary to reward them, but that is a big no-no and a big mistake and a big reason why your dog probably doesn't really care about you anymore or doesn't want to listen to you. This is something that I improved with my dog. So what did that mean? That meant that every time that I went out with Dante, I was paying attention to all of his little movements, all of his little strides. So if he did something very well, I would reward him every single time. If he did something that was not correct, I would correct him in that moment. Like, you have literal seconds to be able to correct your dog so that they can associate the correction with the thing that they did wrong. So with Dante, rewarding him for doing the right thing is extremely important, especially because of all of the struggles that he's had with his reactivity. So what does that mean? So it means that when we go out to Home Depot and we pass by a really rambunctious dog, as soon as we pass by that dog, I release him and I reward him for not having had any kind of negative reaction to that distraction. And maybe it doesn't even have to be something like that out of the ordinary. It could also just be like maybe a guest came in and Peach didn't jump in that guest. You want to be your dog's #1 fan so that they know and they understand when they did something right. With recall, even if we're in the backyard, even if it's just like Dante and I, just the two of us, we're not necessarily like training, but we're just like hanging out, and I call him over to me and he comes right away, I am praising the bejesus out of him. Like, I'm telling him, like, while he is running towards me, I'm telling him, yeah, oh my gosh, you did it, oh my gosh, you're so great, that's the best, look, awesome. I'm always rewarding my dogs. And of course, as your dog gets better, you can fade out a little bit of the drama, but you never want to not take notice of something that your dog did very well. Even though it might seem very insignificant, you need to make sure that your timing is very good with praising your dog. You need to make sure that you are paying attention to them and that you are looking at the things that you want them to improve, and if they do make strides, even if it's a little baby step, you want to reward them for it. With Peach, Peach is a very excitable dog. She loves attention. So if we're out in a store and we're at the checkout line and she is holding her sit very nicely, and while the lady's talking to me and while the lady's baby talking her, she's holding her sit very nicely, even though the lady is talking to her and we're like in the middle of a conversation, I'm like looking at Peach and I'm like, good girl, Peach, good job, good girl. Now, because with the excitability it's a little bit different, I'm not gonna be like, yes girl, you're doing great, because then that's gonna actually get her more excited, but I'm still acknowledging the fact that she's doing great. So that's an example that I can give you of something that seems insignificant but is actually very important, especially if you're working on something specific with your dog. There are many types of ways that you can correct your dog. You can correct your dog verbally, you can correct your dog with the leash if you have the leash on, you can correct your dog with an e-collar or a prong collar. But now for these specific cases, if your dog is not engaged with you, then you need to fix your bond with your dog first before you start to introduce tools, because tools are there to reinforce the behavior that your dog already knows. Tools are there to help you when there are bigger distractions, right? To refine those things. But if you can't get your dog to listen to your commands, to do something with you without them, then you have a serious issue with your bonding. There's something that's not right in your relationship that you need to fix. So that's why I would not, for these specific situations that you are saying your dog is not listening, that you cannot get them to do this specific command, I would not introduce any training tools yet. For me, I'm a firm believer that you can't be correcting your dog for something that they don't know. So you might be saying, well, yeah, my dog does know how to do sit, but just chooses not to. Well, I would tell you, you have to pay attention to the environment that your dog is in. If you're at home, your dog should be able to be very good with all of their commands. I would say that that's something that you have to pay attention to. Like, can you put your dog in a down and go in a different room, come back, do the dishes, and your dog is still in the down? Like, that is something that you have to think about. So that's why I would stray away from tools for these specific situations, because I think that from hearing your messages and from reading them, the issue is not the dog, the issue is more you and how you are engaging and how you are interacting with your dog. So, putting training tools aside, I think that every owner is the first one to verbally correct their dog. But you have to be consistent with this. It can't just be kind of like a burst of emotions that you get angry with your dog and you start yelling at your dog. I've made this mistake with Peach to some extent, because Peach is so happy and like such a easygoing pup that I sometimes like ease off on her, because she's just, you know, she's Peach. But that's not good for her, because I can give you an example. So we had some guests over probably like 2 weekends ago, and I was paying attention to Dante a lot because we were, you know, there was a lot of movement in the house, people that Dante doesn't see all the time, not exactly strangers, but just, you know, guests in the house. So Dante's like, okay, there's different people here, so I'm paying a lot of attention to Dante. He's off leash, but I'm watching him. Honestly, for Peach, she still needs a lot of work with her manners with guests coming over because of the very excitable puppy-like energy that she has. So what I have done in the past couple of times that people have come over is I kind of just let her be off leash, right? Because I have like the e-collar on her, so, you know, she can walk around and whatever. But what I've started to notice is that as soon as I'm not really paying attention to her, she kind of just does her own thing. So what that tells me is that she's not ready for this freedom, because as soon as I'm not paying attention to her, she goes and she does her own thing. So for example, we were outside on a bonfire and I had Dante with me. He was sitting next to me. I told Peach to stay in a sit, talking to one of my friends. I turn around, Peach is like eating tomatoes like in the garden, like doing something else. So I call her back to me. She's off leash. I tell her to go sit again, talk to my friend, serve some food to some people, come back. Peach is like out like playing, like looking for sticks or something, or just not doing the command that she's supposed to do. And she knows her command. In this situation, what would be the correct thing to do is keep her on a leash. So next time that I have people over, she's gonna stay on a leash, because what that shows me is that, okay, like there are things that we still need to fix about her. Maybe, yes, I was distracted with Dante, paying attention to him, but I want her to be at the obedience level that Dante is in. And Dante really had to work for that because of his reactivity issues, so he spent a lot of time just being leashed next to me all the time. And because I feel like Peach is so much more easygoing, I kind of eased off on that. But she's still a Corso at the end of the day, and she's still going to push her limits, so she needs to be on a leash. So that all to tell you that if she is on the leash with me, I'll be able to keep her by my side and make sure that she doesn't stray away. And I don't have to correct her with the e-collar. Now you might be saying like, okay, but if she has her e-collar on, wouldn't that work? Well, the thing is that if in the situation that I got up and started serving food and I left Peach in that sit, and she already left, it was too late for me to be correcting her to be coming back. So I had to call her back to me and then put her back. And by that time, she didn't really even like know what she was like doing wrong. She knew that she wasn't supposed to do that, but she just decided that she could, right? And for me to be like, okay, like I'm gonna correct her with the e-collar in this moment, she's not gonna learn anything from that. So with the leash, my timing is going to improve, because instead of having Peach sit, right, I'll have Peach sit, I'll have her heel with me, sit while I get the food. If she tries to get up or leave, I have the leash and I can put her in a sit again, and then I can keep doing all this stuff and she come back. So that way she's constantly having to listen to me, and she doesn't have that freedom that she would have with the e-collar. So yeah, it's a thing that has to be earned. If you think about it, if you're really on top of your dog with praising and with correcting them, you are effectively communicating with them over and over and over again. So your dog will learn what is needed from them. Another thing that I changed with my dogs is the amount of movement that I had while I was training them. Yeah, so in the beginning, when I would be training Dante, I wouldn't move around a lot. And what I mean by that is like, I would kind of just like stay in one place and be like, sit, sit, down. And that is really boring. Like, think about it from your dog's perspective. If your dog like already kind of knows sit, already kind of knows down, and like you have like this like your owner just towering over you telling you to do it, that's not really motivating. That's not much of an incentive. However, if you tell your dog to sit and then you release them and then you run to another place and you tell them to sit over there, they'll sit, and then it's like, wow, this is like so fun. Like, there's an activity, there's a little bit of running going around, there's like a variety of things that are happening. So your movement is very important. Pay attention. Are you kind of just like standing there? Are you kind of like just moping around, walking real slow? Like, you gotta move, you know? Your energy is everything. Your dogs pick up on that stuff. So that's another thing that I did, that I changed, that really helped with Dante and Peach. So moving on to my next point, talking about energy, is your energy. So your movement does correlate to your energy. If you're gonna go train your dog, if you're gonna go spend time with your dog while you're grumpy, while you don't really wanna do it, while you're just kind of like going through the motions, nobody really wants to be there. If you don't want to be there, you think your dog wants to be there? You think your dog wants to pay attention to what you're saying? No, not at all. So you have to make sure that your energy is there, that you are on top of it with your corrections, with your timing, with your praise for your dog, that you're moving around a lot, that you are really trying to see what helps your dog be engaged. So when Dante was a puppy, as many of you guys already know, and as I've talked about it on my channel before, I didn't really want him in particular as a dog breed. It wasn't really my style of dog, but I came with a compromise with my husband that the next dog that we would get was going to be the breed that I wanted. So when Dante came to our house, I had a very bad attitude towards him and the importance of his training, because I was just seeing him as like that's the dog that we have, but he's not really my responsibility. Like, that's my husband's responsibility, right? But the thing is, you can't have a Corso and just like not train him. You can't like just be like a person in your house and expect your Corso to listen to you or to respect you if you're not putting in the time for it. So in the beginning, when I started to train Dante, and when I was coming to this realization that I just couldn't continue in my ways anymore of just like being like the softy mom, the cuddle mom, I started to train him, and I started off kind of like with a bad attitude because I was like very disgruntled at this point. Like, I was just like, oh my god, this dog doesn't even listen to me. Like, oh, now I have to be here doing this extra work. So I can tell you very honestly that those first couple of sessions weren't the best. And once I came to this other realization that I not only have to train my dog and do it with a good attitude, that's when things started to change. So this is something that's really important. You have to make sure that your energy is there, that you're willing to do it. And yeah, I know that everybody's gonna have off days. At the end of the day, it's not your dog's fault. You know, whatever's happening, it's not your dog's fault. And if you want to give your dog a good life, you gotta put your dog first in this situation. Having a dog is not just an accessory. Having a Cane Corso is not an accessory. Having a Cane Corso is a huge responsibility. It's a commitment, and it's part of your life. So if you want to have a good dog, if you want to have a well-mannered, obedient dog, you have to put in the work. You have to be there. You have to put in the energy for it. So those are my 3 tips. I hope that you guys found those tips helpful. Please tell me and comment down below if you are going to start doing one of these tips, if you are seeing in yourself that, hey, I can really improve in this part. I'd love for you to share your experience. Remember, judgment-free zone. So go ahead and just share anything that you would like to share, or tell me something that you did that helped improve your communication with your dog and your engagement with your dog, to not be boring anymore. And now let me just add one more thing. Now, the energy levels that you have with your dog is all very personal. I understand that some people are not very, like, you know, they don't scream a lot, or not necessarily scream a lot, but maybe they're not as, like, you know, upbeat. That's fine. Whatever, your dog lives with you, so your dog knows. So whatever is higher energy, your dog is gonna recognize, you know? So maybe your good boy is not gonna be like my good boy that I'm like, oh my gosh, that you did so great. Like, I sound crazy. Maybe your good boy is gonna be like, yeah, good boy, Bucky, good job, yeah. Like, you know, maybe it's gonna be like that, and that's okay. But your dog recognizes your energy. So I'm not telling you, like, you do have to change, but I'm telling you that it's okay if it doesn't look the same for every owner, because every relationship with their dog is unique. So I hope that makes sense. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please go ahead and comment down below. Check out our merch. Thank you to everybody who has been supporting our channel and who has subscribed. I appreciate all of you guys very much. So yeah, thank you. Bye.